We're trying to expand globally. Long curly hair and a beard, but he ain't Toby Keith. You might have thought it's beef, but we gon' handle that. Stealing jerseys off of the wall like fuck Vanderjack. Okay, he ran with that, and now he's on the loose. Put a little bit of poison in his Jamba Juice. Go ahead and drink on that, just take another sip. Need an appraisal? Shout out to Ron Huffin' Dick. The kids loving this. I know you heard it, son. The purpose is perfect. Every person we learn something from. Go ahead and come along. We have a little fun. A few questions. How about 31?
Yes, sir. Here we go again. Time for another 31. Glad to have you guys back. I got a great episode for you guys today. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Couple quick announcements up front. Quick shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you guys for doing what you're doing. All the money goes to the content factory here so we can just keep pushing out content for you guys. Super important announcement, which is the first live show is April 8th, Comedy Works downtown, doing a live 31, working on getting a huge guest. And you know I love you guys as listeners, so if you guys want to go, send me a message. I will get you the free tickets. Other than that, let's just rock and roll. If you're new to the pod, we are so glad to have you. Check out the back episodes. We've had every great comic in the world, from Brian Regan to Tom Segura to Bert Kreischer to Ari Shaffir to Christina Brzezinski. We got so much content for you. Check out Craigslist Chaos, where I just get on Craigslist and call random people. That's it. I appreciate you guys telling your friends about the podcast. Today's a special episode with my buddy Todd McComas. He was driving to a gig, as I think we talk about a little bit. So I think the phone quality was good for most of it. There's maybe 2 or 3 times where it cuts out just for a second. So he fades and you can't hear something for like 2 or 3 seconds. It's no big deal. So just stick with it because it's a 2-hour interview and it's a lot of fun. He tells great stories and he is just a great dude. So I hope it comes out good. And like I said, there'll be just a couple quick little glitches. So just get through them. I promise it's worth it because this is a great episode. So hope you guys enjoy it. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Here comes episode. It doesn't matter. Here comes Todd. Here we go. And here we go. Got another good one for you guys today. My guest today is a former Marine, a retired police detective who now makes his living as a stand-up comedian and podcaster. He was formerly the host of Heartland Radio 2.0 and a member of the Pat McAfee Show. And he's now the host of the popular true crime podcast 1041 with Todd McComas, the comedy TV and film podcast Dockheads, and the comedy podcast FUNTOWN. So you guys know what to do. Find those, rate, subscribe, comment, get those going. My guest today is Todd McComas. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm good. So you're on the road right now, heading to another gig?
I am. I'm headed to Springfield, Illinois, to Donnie B's Comedy Club.
Sweet. A weekend.
Never been there.
Well,
you know, it's weird. Like, you and I hung out. I don't know if you remember this, but we hung out for a good solid, 4 or 5 days when you were on a run through Morty's Comedy Joint in Indianapolis and Wiley's and Dayton. Now, I mean, we were, very fucked up the whole time, as I recall. It was a big binge week.
Yeah. It was a great weekend. Actually, I had a lot of fun out there. Morty's is long gone, right?
Long gone, brother. Along with a good portion of my savings account.
Which
all gone. Yeah.
Which sucks. But yeah, I remember just having so much fun there. And I was thinking about it the other day when I was walking around. I was like, I remember having one of the craziest nights of my life in Indianapolis with you guys. And
yeah.
I was trying to still piece it all back together, but it's probably best that I don't. The little things I was remembering, but
that's the legacy, man. If you're a drinking comic, pretty much everyone's story sounds the same. As they're like, I remember it was crazy, and I remember this weird house, and then I remember these crazy girls, and then it's time to fly home. That's about your experience. You don't remember the shows as much. It's just this crazy party weekend,
Yeah, the little I can piece together, I know we just got wasted, and then I think we went to a grocery store, and then they weren't selling booze anymore. And I think like an idiot, I stole a bottle of liquor, And then I went, I know, which was in hindsight just an awful move. And then we went back to, I went to the hotel with the crazy girls. And I remember I was hooking up with one girl, and then she got up and went to the bathroom. And the girl that was sleeping on the couch just came and got in bed and started hooking up with me. And the girl that came out of the bathroom just saw it and just went to the couch like the triangle offense or something. And I was like, this is like the craziest. This is like what rock stars do, but...
Well, I didn't say because I thought it was bad that you stole the alcohol. I went because I had completely forgotten that. But I knew that. Yeah, I heard that, and I heard the story about the girls. Legend. Yeah, you're probably top 5 of comics that we had a good time with.
It was a wild one. Well, you know what? We'll just start with that question because, man, I had a lot of fans requesting you, and I gave them a chance to. I asked them, "Hey, do you have any questions for Todd?" And one of the questions that I got was, as a owner of a comedy club and a legendary comedy club, as you guys could tell, what was your favorite night there? Is there one Morty's night that really sticks out that always brings back memories?
Dude, I don't even know if I should say this, but one of my all-time best memories is he wasn't even performing there because he plays bigger rooms, but Brian Regan was playing one of the rooms at the Mirage there, and Joe Zimmerman was opening for him. And he was a friend of the club, and he had us up, I think it was in between first show, second show, Saturday night. And he said, "Hey, Brian wants to come and like hang out with some comics and, drink a little bit or whatever. So we're, is it cool if he comes there?" And we're like, "Yeah, should we like not let people know? We'll chase, the regular crowd off real fast. We won't let him hang around, but should we let other comics know?" And he's like, "Let me check with Brian." He came back and said, "Yep, that's fine. He wants to hang out with you guys." So they come over, and Brian stays. We had this. Did you play when it was the converted Mexican restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be a Don Pablo's. It looked just like it did Don Pablo's before, but it had carpet now. It was basically the only difference. So they had a cool upstairs bar, as you remember, and Brian stays up there and parties with us until like 6 a.m. I mean, it was insane. He bought like 4 rounds of shots, and there had to be 50 people up there.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. But he was like, he usually when someone gets to a certain point with tequila, two things happen. You either get really sloppy or you want to fight everyone, right? So, not Brian Regan, dude. He's like, he has a different DNA. Like, he got funnier, he got smoother in transitions between stories, and got somehow more Brian Regan. It was incredible. Like, he wrote 2 jokes while up there that he physically pulled out a notebook and wrote down. Like, he was having so much fun. And it was you just say never meet your heroes, and we've all had those stories where they went the wrong way.
Yeah.
But this guy, just the best dude in the world.
He really is, man. And that's the thing about him. So because he lived in Vegas, he still lives in Vegas, so I got to be friends with him, and I had the same experiences. And that's the thing he just loves being around comics. It's a crazy thing that anytime he does like a theater, he'll just go find the local comedy club, show up, and buy tequila, really good tequila, and then yeah. And he's such a humble. I love being around him because he never wants to talk about himself, and he's just a great listener. And just like you said, I say it on here all the time. They say you never want to meet your heroes, but in comedy, it's not the truth. I mean, the bigger the comic, the cooler they've always been. So that's an awesome night.
Dude, it was the best. And you're right, though. Your batting percentage is way higher with comics because the grind is real to get to where they got, and most of them don't forget.
Well, I'm sure he did. Did he perform that night or no?
Yeah. They
came
did? Right after. Yeah, they came right after their show at the Mirage.
Because I asked him, so I've been around him just hanging out in casual, like regular stuff, and he does a thing no matter what. If we went to any venue, there was a stage, and whatever the stage was, he'll always ask, like the manager, the owner, if he can go up there and get on it, and he'll. And I asked him about it, and he kind of answered, but I was fascinated. He would go up there by himself wherever we went, if it was a karaoke bar or anything, and he goes up there and he's on the stage and he just like looks around and imagine what's it like to be a comic. And I'm always like, you're the greatest. But yeah, that's so cool.
And I thought you meant that he performed in Indianapolis. He didn't perform in our club, but he would have. But he got there like right at the tail end of that show ending. So and we chased everybody out. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
we're like, you got to fucking go. Brian Regan's here.
Yeah, he's such a good dude. Well, I guess we might as well go to the other side of it. What is there a nightmare night that you can recall? Well, I'm sure that you can, but
I tell you, a night that I really did not enjoy was Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, probably a bad move at my stage of the career to say anything negative about someone super famous, but just that he was the one don't meet your hero story, like for sure.
Oh.
Not a pleasant individual to the club, and I was stuck in the middle because I was a huge fan, and I was his opener through the run of the 3 clubs, and I personally had a great experience with him. It was very nice to me. We were doing the shows together, not like overly like hey, let's be buddies, but it was pleasant, I would say, respectful. But I did not enjoy how the rest of the staff and people were treated at all. And I was like a real pickle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Between that...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
But between that and there was one night that Ms. Pat, this was the best and worst night of all time. And love Miss Pat, man. She's just the best. But there was an open mic at Morty's. This has kind of become a famous story, but there was this kid that went up for the first time ever, brought a bunch of friends, and he had an idea in his head of what comedians do at an open mic. And he brought that on stage with him and just ate the biggest dick. I mean, just ate it so hard. And just started yelling at the crowd and bashing them. And he was a black dude. Most of the crowd was white. Started laying into them about being white and whatnot. And then Miss Pat's in the back just pacing. And she goes, let me go up next. Let me go up after this motherfucker. And we're like, okay, go get him. So she goes up there and proceeds to just burn him to the ground. And he jumps up, I guess thinking, oh, this is what happens. And now, like, we'll be in this roast battle. Me from the crowd or on stage. No, not at all, man. She was not having it. She lit him up. And then he walks up on the stage. And she warned him on his way up. She's like, don't get on the stage, motherfucker. You don't want to get on my stage. And boom, as soon as he stepped foot up there, boom. I mean, the meanest. I'm trying to think, like Khalil Mack, under you, through you, shoves him about 10 rows back into the audience. Yeah. And then she's not a small lady, but nimble like a cat, jumps up, lands between 2 tables, like sideways, like a ninja, and then goes after him, throws him to the ground, and reaches back at one point to grab a candle off of a table. These are heavy bases, Brandon. Yeah. Like you'll kill somebody with this. Lifts it up in the air, and luckily one of our guys, comedian there, Dion, snatches it from her hand on the downswing. Save this dude's life. So,
that's Miss Pat.
Yeah, it was one of the worst as like an owner, but as the best as a comic.
Yeah, for sure. That's always two different worlds: the comedy and the owner type. That's awesome. Yeah, that was my first experience with Miss Pat. Was when I was there. I think the second time, and she'd started getting some heat in LA, and then she'd show up and do guest sets. She'd like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do a guest set. No one would say no to her. She's like, I'll do probably 5, 7, and then at about the 20-minute mark, I was like, all right, I think she's wrapping up, but I wasn't gonna say shit to her.
No, that was the thing. Nobody could.
And she was crushing too, though. I wasn't like she was eating, but
I mean, you could just see it on dude's face. It's like, oh, really? And she'd stay up there for about a half hour and just fucking burn the place down.
Yeah, I wouldn't say shit. All right, here we go with some more questions. Where are you from, and where's the best place to eat in your hometown?
All right. So I'm from basically Fairland, Indiana. And I would say the best place to eat there is probably my best friend growing up, Jason Bass's parents' house, because there's no like restaurant at all. But Lynn Bass was a hell of a cook. And it's only 25 minutes from Indianapolis, luckily. So, I mean, this is a tiny town. But to get real food, you had to go either to this town, Shelbyville, which had Compton's Cow Palace, which was a dairy / ice cream bar / best breakfast I've ever had in my life place. Like it was all farmers. You'd go there like 8 in the morning. When I was a cop, we'd stop in there all the time. And everybody had bib overalls on or a cop uniform, basically, that ate there. And it was the best. It was dirty. You could see into the kitchen. They didn't care. They didn't encourage anyone to clean. The fact that the kitchen was open to the dining area, but it was awesome. So that was always my growing up. Compton's Cow Palace was my shit.
It's gone now.
It's got someone's bought it. My parents still live in Shelbyville, there where it's at. So whenever I go see them, I pass it, and the sign is just subtly different every time I pass, because I think it changes owners every 8 months now. And I've not dared to eat there because once it left the original family, it's that's never going to be the same, No. They used to make their own ice cream. Oh. And the last time my dad went in there, he said it was just from a grocery store, just tubs of different grocery store ice cream laying in there.
That sucks.
It
sucks to lose the good spots.
Well, that's what meth does to a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It destroys all the things that were good about your childhood.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your childhood, as a child, what was your favorite toy?
Ooh, I would have to. Yeah, it was probably tennis ball and my baseball glove.
Yeah,
I would say because up to 7th grade, we moved to Fairland then, and that was a small place. But before that, we were just poor as shit, and we lived in this little house on my grandpa's little shitty farm, way out in the middle of about a 45-minute to an hour bike ride. So you would meet halfway on bikes and just decide whose house you were going to from there together. But I would spend countless hours every day in front of the barn door, just throwing a tennis ball to myself, catching it in my mitt, and seeing how close I could get and how hard I could throw it without making an error. That was my entire childhood, bro. It made me really good at baseball. I was a really good middle infielder, but outside of that,
who was
social skills were lacking.
Who was your guy when you were a kid? Who were you pretending you were?
Bro, Pete Rose was my dude.
Yeah,
he had, I was a Reds fan, so he and Johnny Bench pretty much dominated my life as a kid.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
I love it. I did the same thing with one of those net bounce back things, and I would just try to get 27 outs in a row like a no hitter, and I would just do that for hours and hours. But
isn't it weird how you could so easily entertain yourself? I mean, it's for lack of options. Basically, it was out of necessity. But I don't know if kids still do that today. Maybe the ones that live way out in the middle of nowhere still do it, but there's something about that builds some kind of character that I think is somewhat lacking today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to be old man guy, but I don't see
I am an old man. So.
I don't see it in my neighborhood, man. It's right? I don't even want to pretend these damn kids and their iPads, but man, we woke up and we just played until, I always tell the story, we'd play until we'd shoot hoops till it was dark, and then we'd only stop when someone would get hit in the nose when you just couldn't see the ball, and then I was then it'd be I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey, let's do it again tomorrow. So
absolutely, dude. Backyard football, same thing. I mean, you can barely see. It didn't matter if it was raining, whatever. We were just out there. That was our life.
Yep. How about this one? What did you do on your 21st birthday?
My 21st birthday, I spent it. I was in. Let me make sure I get this right. Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was in the Marine Corps Reserves. So I turned 21 while on my 2-week thing in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been literally the worst weather that Fort Sill, Oklahoma had seen, and this was statistically true, in 100 years. Mm-hmm. So they had these badass electrical storms for 2 weeks, and we were camped outside. We were playing war games, right? And we were the military police guys, so we were in charge of setting up security, and we would do patrols and Humvees, just fake war shit. And then we had every night hailstorms, these electrical storms, gale force winds at one point that just destroyed everything that was set up. So I was in the middle of this shitstorm, and on my 21st birthday, dude, I forgot all this till you asked this question, by the way. But this was my 21st birthday, 2-week period. But on my actual birthday, we had just set up everything. We had a guy almost die from getting bit by a baby rattlesnake. We had a whole hooch full of 30 Marines in there. Their hooch got struck by lightning, and they were in ankle-deep water because of the storm. And then to top it all off, on my 21st birthday, me and a buddy get called to haul our criminal investigator. We had one criminal investigator who was an Ohio State trooper in the regular world, out to meet these Department of Defense investigators. And we're not told why or anything. Just like, you need to drive him out to these coordinates. So we drive him out to this artillery range, and we get out, and there is a hill there and all these vehicles up there. And one of these vehicles is just destroyed. Like, it's burnt. It has beams of light shining through all sides of it. And there's a blast area on top of the hill, like where all the grass is burned out. And we're like, what the fuck? Well, I guess, and they were doing a live call for fire exercises, and they had 8-10 tank killers and Air Force fly in. They were calling off coordinates for fire, and they were really firing live rounds. Well, somehow some laser-guided missile gets dropped off and hits the hill with all these Marines on it, all these artillery guys. Oh, shit. And kills a captain, wounds a lieutenant, and then luckily that armored personnel carrier I was describing to you, a gunnery sergeant saw it coming down from the plane, incoming. Now, they thought it was a training exercise, but still they reacted appropriately, hit the deck, flat on their stomach, and as all this shrapnel from the bomb went off, it shredded this armored personnel carrier. It went, the closest it got to any of them was 3 feet, from the floor. Damn. So he saved all their lives. Yeah. Yeah. What a 21st birthday, bro. Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? I should be drunk and have a face full of titties right now.
Yeah, all the pussies on here that complain about a little puke. Jesus.
And
Holy
this was just
shit.
a training. This was just training. It wasn't, I'd never been to real combat or anything. Like, damn. Yeah, it's crazy.
Damn, yeah. You deserve some beers that night for sure.
I didn't get any.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh man, my new one.
Oh shit, I think we lost.
And we do Shallow. It's the most easiest. I get it. It's the easiest, most mainstream karaoke move of all time.
Wait, which one was it? Sorry, you cut out during the big unveil.
I only do a duet with my lady when we get drunk, and I feel dirty when I do it because I know how cheeseball that is to do. But before that, by myself, I would single. I would do Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I kind of can hit that raspy shit. Yeah.
Who's the first? When is the first time you asked for an autograph?
P. Rose, Latonia Horse Track in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, me and my buddy were in 8th grade, and his dad was a big gambler, man. He was a bookie, actually. So we used to go to the horse track in Louisville with him, and we saw Charlie Hustle there himself. and we had each got an autograph on the Latonia horse track betting.
That's awesome. You still you still have it?
No,
or no?
I'm a fucking idiot, bro. I didn't keep anything. None of my Star Wars toys that were in the box or any of my baseball cards. But yeah, I was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
We all did the same thing. I wish I had
Do you keep any of that shit? Do you anything from way back then that's like that? That's cool, maybe even valuable.
Well,
at least sentimental.
Not valuable, but very sentimental to me. I've kept, which is a lot harder now, but I've kept every ticket stub since I was like 8 years old. So, and it's
such a cool move.
It's annoying for people that are with me because a lot of times now we go through on the phone, and then once the game ends, I got to walk around through the shit and try to find a ticket stub. So I had to give up on it, honestly, because the Broncos went full, like everything's on the phone. You can't even really get a ticket stub anymore. But I have a box here in the studio that is my it's the most sentimental thing I have, and it has all those ticket stubs in it. And so that's the one thing I've saved, which I'm glad I did. It has no value to anyone but me, but it's very important to me.
But it's so cool because you can go through that, and it probably each stub brings back a different memory.
Yeah.
You know, at least the ones where significant shit happened.
Yeah, no, yeah. Anytime I go through it, and it's one of those things. Like my poor girlfriend, who doesn't really like sports. she's trying to learn sports, but I'll be like, babe, this is Duke, Carolina. This is Hansbrough broke his nose, and this is the Super Bowl. And she's just like, she's a good sport to pretend like she cares, but she could give a shit less. But it's cool because actually, over time, I forgot some of the cool stuff. So sometimes I'll be like, oh man, I forgot about this night. So yeah, I'm glad I did it. But it's I think it's over for the ticket stubs. But
yeah, I do have a little collection of challenge coins.
Yeah.
So, the military hands out, because thankfully I get a lot of military people that will send me coins, or when I see them, they bring me one to a show or something. And I still had when I was a cop, and I got some military ones. I just got to figure out, I need some cool place to put them. Right now, they're in this one drawer in my toolbox.
Yeah,
in my garage, but I gotta get a cooler place, to keep them.
Yeah,
I'm working on an office right now, so they'll probably end up in there.
Yeah, I got a couple challenge coins, which I didn't know how cool they were until I went and performed for the troops, and then what a big deal it is. So they're actually those are in the ticket box too. Once I realized how cool it was, so I only have a couple of them.
It's like
a
real compliment to get one of those. So yeah, man.
What's the most recent thing you've learned?
My favorite thing that I've learned is that the woman who holds the Guinness Book World Records for giving birth to the most kids in her lifetime is a lady in Russia who had 69 kids. I want to know why I was researching that, but
yeah,
it's true. Yeah,
69
kids, bro.
That has to be some twins though and shit. I was just doing the math. If you started at 15 and then you were pumping them out one a year, I still don't. So she must have had more than twins, right?
Yeah. She had, I think, man, I'd have to go back and look at it again, but I think at least twice she had triplets, and she had a bunch of twins. But even so, man, that's a shit ton of kids.
Wait, how did you end up down that rabbit hole?
I was working on a thing back in the day for Pat, like some content we were doing, and it was just this little show I had called Mencyclopedia, and I brought that up for that. But then also I needed something to tie into a bit about my grandpa, because my grandpa was one of 28 kids, right?
Wow.
And between just two, my great-grandpa had 28 kids between just two different wives. So I was like, wasn't there something I had to look up once about this lady had all these kids? So I rediscovered it, and I started looking into it more. And I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Man. I also learned that Abe Lincoln, everybody thinks he was bipolar, which I think is pretty cool. I like the weirdest shit, man.
Yeah.
I like the weirdest shit.
I'm with you. I think that's the comic brain, because I'm already in my head like, I hope these are becoming bits or there's something funny with both of these.
I don't know what to do with that yet.
I don't know.
I just found that out on accident. So.
Well, you'll get the crowd's attention because I'll be thinking about that the rest of the day. Like 69 kids, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought up Pat, that was one of the questions. One of the listeners want to know how you met Pat.
Okay, so Pat, when he started doing stand-up comedy, got a lot of attention right away from like sports media, right? So NBC Sports had got in touch with him and said, hey, we want to do this pregame piece where we're going to feature you as a stand-up comedian and just kind of tell the story. So can you set up a show that's clean, TV clean, for like a 25, 30-minute show? Let us film it. We only need a clip out of that, but, if we could film the whole thing, that would be great. So he had initially set it up with Crackers Comedy Club, and something went wrong there. So he hit up Morty's, hit up our club, and asked if he could move it to there. And we're like, yeah, obviously, let's do it. Because it was like on a Wednesday. We're like, this dude's going to sell this place out on a Wednesday,
Yeah.
And so he does it, and the place is just packed. We had to turn so many people down. This dude, by the way, can sell.
Yeah.
He sold out like a 6,000-seater in literally 20 seconds. It was 2 clicks of a mouse on the ticket site, sold out. Crashed their server. So the site that was selling the tickets.
Yeah.
So he's just phenomenal. But anyway, so he's doing this show there, and we talked for a little bit afterward, and then we had myself, Sean Latham, and Chris Bowers, two real good comedian friends of mine. We had this Tuesday show where it was kind of just to work like a gym for us. So we had all these challenges built in where the audience would give us a topic at the beginning of the show, and throughout the show, when everybody, in between being in the green room or coming up on stage doing your thing, you had to write your best joke for that topic. And then at the end, there was a big joke off, and the audience would vote, who wrote the best bits. So Pat just kind of came to love the craziness of that show. So he would bring his brother and his mom and dad to this show every Tuesday and sit amongst the other like 12 people that like that show. So we would talk to him after the show, and then he was like, asked Sean first if he wanted to open for him on the road, and then end up asking me for both of us to do it. So we started kind of doing shows with him, and then just hanging out because, he lives right in Indianapolis. He only lived like 15 minutes from where Sean and I were living. So we lived together, and just started hanging out the entire off season that year. And by the time he went back to camp, we just stayed friends. And, this whole thing started with Barstool Sports. And when he got an offer from them to partner with them on what he did, he asked me if I wanted to come do it. So I retired from police work that same time, and we just got to it, see what we could create,
That's awesome.
Mostly it's him creating and me just helping facilitate, but it was a blessing, like that didn't happen to everybody.
No, I tell people half the shit in this world we're in is luck sometimes. I mean, who could have ever you could never think about. I mean, I will say though, you guys doing that Tuesday show, and then part of it's like just keep working and shit'll happen for you, but then you could have never dreamed when you guys were doing that Tuesday show that it would. I can't imagine that it ended up like this. So that's awesome, man. Not
at all, man. And he was just a regular dude too. Like us, you don't always get that either.
Yeah,
so it was like easy to hang out with him. He's just some dude from Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
And so it was just, I don't know, God's hand reached down, give me a little pat on the butt that day, I guess. And some good shit happened.
It's great, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Latham, I love Latham, and I don't know if he'll be the answer, if there'll be somebody else, but what's the weirdest thing you've ever had happen with a roommate? That you want to tell.
I I'm trying to think. There's obviously millions of weird stories with him, but most of his were just awesome. I would say weird thing that happened was college. So I had a buddy that literally almost got me killed. We left this club and we were with these girls, and he was with one girl, I was with another, and we were splitting off. We didn't drive. We walked there from the apartment, so we split off to each go to the respective lady's vehicle, and somebody throws a bottle, and it smashes in the front of one of the girls' cars. And when we turn around, there's a gang of hillbillies. We're at Eastern Kentucky University, and these guys were not students. Like, they were, they were been in the factory for 3 or 4 years. They were like cornbread, local Eastern Kentucky people. And just looking, they were like, well, let's ambush somebody. And they had set the bait, threw the bottle, hit the car, and my buddy lights into these dudes, man. He's like, hey, motherfucker. And I'm like, hey, we're drunk. Let's get in these cars and get the fuck out of here. It's like 10 of these dudes. And look how big, like, they're giant hillbillies. And he's like, no, fuck you. Get over here. Come over here and do something. You want to throw a bottle like a little bitch? And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, let's go. And I can't get him in the car. So the next thing I know, 10 hillbillies kick the living dog shit out of us. I mean,
shit.
like mean, like not just fighting. Like these guys were mean, like trying to like hurt you. And all I could remember thinking was, just don't go to the ground, bro. Just don't go to the ground. I was a good wrestler, so I just grabbed hold of one dude, kind of gave a little body lock on him, and kept my face pushed into his stomach, and he couldn't shake me, thankfully. So I end up okay. My buddy gets destroyed. And finally, some dude that was a Marine, by the way, of all things, and I was in the reserves then. I talked to him earlier in the night at the bar. We did some shots because we both had the Marine Corps haircut. There's no mistaking it. And he comes by, and he has like 3 dudes with him. They were Marines, and these were active duty guys. I just start hearing bodies go, vroom, vroom, vroom. And I look up, and these hillbillies are just being thrown against cars and over the hood. And these 3 jarheads are there, cleared the whole pack, and just stood there and ran these dudes off. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, where did you guys come from? And thankfully I bought them shots earlier because it paid off. But that was the because I hate, like, not that when I was younger I mixed it up or whatever, but I'm like, dude, you have to use common sense out in the world. That's what keeps people alive. You know what I mean? And that buddy, that roommate I had for that little bit, he's probably dead now. I don't even know. Like, he didn't have that in him. He's just like, now whatever I want to say is what I want to say, and I'll say it whenever I want to say it to whoever I want to say it. And
that's how That's how you get your jaw broken. You're not saying shit to anybody.
Oh yeah, I'm like, come on. I mean, and these guys, big dudes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, Jesus Christ, we're dead. I knew it ahead of time. I'm like, this is going to be one of the worst nights of my life.
Yeah, and that was somebody's ex-girlfriend that was just like, fuck these guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and they fucking beat it right afterwards. These girls, nobody got laid.
Yeah,
they're like, we're not fucking you. Look at you guys now. You're a mess. We're not fucking you.
Yeah. That's funny. What's the most money or coolest thing you've ever won?
$10,000. I won in Vegas once.
That's
first time I ever been to Vegas. We were there 5 nights, or 5 days, 4 nights. All my friends that I grew up with, I just got on a heater, bro. Craps, roulette. The first night there, I only went with $1,300. I won $600 before we got to the hotel on craps at the Hard Rock. And so now I had $1,900 to last me the entire trip. I drank 100 of that watching the Pacers play the Knicks, that good run with Reggie Miller, and then in the playoffs. And then I sit down at roulette, fucked up out of my mind, some drink called a Scooby-Doo. And I lay all $1,800 that was in my pocket on black on roulette. If I would have missed this, like I had zero scratch for the rest, not a credit card on me. They were all maxed, you know, I was young. And I hit it. So I just go on a run there to the point where like all my buddies are standing around me. They're asking me like, can we get you guys anything? I'm like, can we get some cigars? Oh, sure. They're bringing us cigars. I was like, this is unreal. So at one point I was pushing upwards of 19,000.
Oh, wow.
And then on the very last day, I mean, I had just bags of chips. And I'm like, I'm not gambling the last day. I'm going to go home and buy me. It was the first year of the F-150 Super Crew with the full back seat, 4-door. And I'm like, I'm going to buy me one of those trucks when I get back. So I just shut myself in the room. All my friends out of money. They're down at the pool, just like drinking liquor that they had to go to a pharmacy to get down the road. And I'm like, oh man, but if I make this like 25, I can almost buy this truck clean out. So I go down there and I lose upwards of $9,000 in like 45 minutes. The worst run on roulette that you've ever seen. Yeah, it was awful. Awful. And before that, like I worked, when I worked for the state police, I worked on a gambling boat for 13 months and for them. And it was so boring. Like you talk to the people that worked there, and there was this guy, this pit boss, trying to teach me how to count cards. So I kind of went there like, I think I know how to count cards. So I started doing it, playing blackjack. This was during the winning streak. And it was working every time, man. I would go up like a grand 1,200 on blackjack, and then I would take that over to craps or roulette. And then one time I got up and I went to 3-card poker, and I hit a straight flush playing 50, 50, and 50. It paid out like $2,750 bucks. Like I don't know what happened. Now let's obviously never happened to me again. I lose my ass every time I go to Vegas.
Yeah.
But it was the run of my life.
That's awesome. There's nothing better than winning money, man. It's the greatest.
It's the best. And then I won 10 grand from Pat McAfee in a weight loss challenge against 2 of the other guys that I work with there.
That was a little harder work.
Oh, dude. It was, whereas I was by far the smallest dude, right?
Yeah.
Nobody thought I could win. But I knew, like, I have this crazy 19-year-old Marine that still lives up here somewhere inside me. So I was like, these guys don't know how, like, psychotic I can get when it comes down to it. So I just fucking starved myself, bro, for 30 days. Like, I didn't eat the entire last 7 days.
Oh.
It was strictly a water diet that I read the MMA fighters use, where you drink like 2 gallons a day. On the 7th day, on the 6th day, it's 1. You just keep cutting it in half until you have no fluids or food for the final 2 days.
Oh, were you just miserable?
Oh, no food. It was the worst. Like, now I always knew, like, being in a concentration camp or some kind of prisoner of war camp sucked. But now I feel like I really can appreciate how bad it sucked, how horrible that is. Like, starvation is the worst kind.
God, I'm miserable when I just haven't had like lunch. I can't imagine that.
I haven't eaten yet. I'll get shaky here in about 45 minutes to an hour and have to stop and get something.
Yeah.
Like, so when you go 7 days completely, and prior to that, you were barely eating the other 3 weeks. Like you can't think rationally. You can't focus on anything. You can't sit down. Like I would just pace constantly. It was the worst. I think I smoked probably 12 cartons of cigarettes that last week. I was like, I got to take up smoking. You know, I used to smoke. It won't be that hard. So I would just smoke one after another. Yeah.
What was the
worst
first meal once you won?
We were in Atlanta during Super Bowl, right? Because Pat was filming a bunch of stuff there for Wrangler. Wrangler sponsored this thing at Topgolf. So all week, just the coolest people of the NFL and just coming in and having interviews with him and competing in this charity golf thing they had going on. So Herschel Walker, all these people, Fitzpatrick, all just great. So I'm miserable all the time. All I'm doing is running a camera. So I'm like, hey, I'll run a camera all this week. Like I'm kind of not at the peak of my game as a sidekick, obviously. And he has plenty of sidekicks that know more about sports than I do anyway. So I'm just running a camera. And then the day that we do the weigh-off and I win, there's a Waffle House right across from the hotel. So the three of us that have been competing went there and just ate until we got sick. I mean, and the worst part, all week, Brant, like we're at Topgolf. This thing is catered to the hilt all week because for all these NFL stars, there's just a buffet, wings, ribs, just the best finger food you could ever want, laying out in front of us for 7 days. It was the worst. The worst.
Damn, you have.
So I also ate the shit out of that buffet that day.
Hell yeah!
It was our last day there.
Yeah. I would have been packing shit up for the plane.
Oh, dude. I think I missed a couple of my spots because I was just grabbing food. So like my buddy Ty Smith just waved me off. He's like, I got it, bro. I'll film this one. I'm like, oh, good. Thanks.
I can't imagine that feeling. Well, speaking of that, like having Super Bowl week and everything, and doing comedy and the stuff with Pat, like who have you met that made you the most nervous?
It's weird because everybody there is like all the players that I've learned from being with Pat, like all the players are really so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're especially like offensive linemen and defensive linemen. They're just like big nerds, they're all into nerdy things and they're just big kids, like just awesome. But I got a little nervous around Jeremy Piven. Not
Really?
even an athlete.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. He just has like an aura about him. Like I don't know, man. It was weird because, as a comic, you get to be around famous people and that kind of wears off,
Yeah.
after a while anyway. And then plus with Pat, with all these athletes, Piven just, when I got around him, I'm like, this guy, Entourage was a big fucking deal, but I loved Jeremy Piven from his smaller roles in great movies before that, right? So I was a weird kind of cult-like fan of his anyway. But again, couldn't be and all about football. Played football, loved football, dreamed of one day playing the NFL, and I guess he was good. He's just undersized. There's nothing you can do about that. And that if Rudy was made up, most of it. So real things like that don't happen. So he was right away after talking to him, you're like, oh, okay, no problem. But I was like, I'm just not going to goof around too much, I don't want this guy thinking we're a bunch of fucking yahoos.
And now he's a comedian, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it weird? Like you would worry, like, oh, I'm afraid Jeremy Piven's going to go back to Hollywood and be at one of those Hollywood parties and be like, we're a bunch of fucking idiots. Those guys that work for Pat McAfee, fucking all over you, acting like dumbasses.
Shit, now he'll be calling you asking for comedy tips. And it all switched. It's a crazy.
Have you seen his stand up? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I've heard, some people just shit on him just naturally. Some comics hate when people come come from a different background, but I know he tried to come out here, but they passed on him. But because I think he has a pretty expensive fee, but I've heard people are writing for him and stuff. But I mean, he's famous. Like he's gonna sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna judge it till I see him. So, and I don't really care if he came into our world.
I don't like. At least you're trying, and he's like, at least when he was talking about it there on Pat's show, like pretty humble about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to figure it out. He's like, it's something that I loved early on through him. And now I'm just, to discover it now. We all know why they do it. It's the retirement plan, just in case,
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. He seems like he takes it seriously and very respectful of people who do this full time.
Yeah, that I like.
That's all you can ask.
Yeah, as long as you come in like humble and just try to do your best. And I'm not mad at you for selling tickets. It's good for all. Just if people are going to comedy shows, just as long as he's doing a good job and
it's
good
like for everybody.
Said,
and it was like
he doesn't give a shit what we think anyway.
No, and it was like that for Pat McAfee when he first started doing comedy. I mean, comics were shitting on him left and right. I mean, it was all over social media, you know. Oh, I guess anybody can think that they're a comic now just because you can sell a bunch of tickets because you're a cult and all this stuff. But, you know, it's like at that point, if you're that person, all you can do is go do your show and be good.
Yeah.
Because even if you're super famous, I mean, people will come see you once.
Yeah.
You know, but if you suck, they're not coming back.
Yeah, I always say, if you're famous, you get like the first 10 minutes for free. And then they're like,
exactly.
Okay. Now I've seen you, but all right, tell me something good. So,
yeah. So, like, Pat's just an awesome storyteller. He's very funny. He's very good at stand-up comedy. So, it worked out for him. And then people started shutting up, you know?
Yeah. Once you can't argue when you see someone crush as much as there's plenty of comics I don't like, but if you ask, I'll say, well, I don't like them, but I get it. They're fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
I see why they get booked. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever, or craziest thing you've ever done to impress a girl?
Boy, usually I just ask them to marry me. I've been married a few times. But I bought a house that I could in no way afford to impress a girl, which is pretty crazy. I built this monster house. So I was like, yeah, this is going to last about a year and a half until it catches up to me. So I would say it's definitely that.
Yeah.
I've probably acted a fool at a party or done some crazy shit there, you know, time or two, but nothing that's put my financial well-being at great risk.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
That is pretty crazy for sure.
Yeah, I think this girl's end up wanting to marry me, so I think I'll build this monster house I can't afford. Back in the day when you could, you know, before the banks got in trouble for loaning people money for houses that they could in no way afford. Like anybody could. It was weird that, you know, anybody could like buy a $400,000 house. Maybe you made $40,000 a year. It's the craziest thing ever. Well, reckless. Yeah,
that's when I lived in Vegas, and there was like cocktail waitresses that had like 2 or 3 houses, and someone just got to them and was like, "Just scoop these up." And I wish I was, instead of blowing my money back then, I should have at least had a house. I mean, it would have got taken away eventually, but I could at least said I had a house at one point.
Have you talked, like, if you've talked about this too much on your own podcast, I get it, but have you talked a lot about your run through Vegas?
Yeah. No,
on this show?
Well, not on this show, but I did a bunch of other shows that, you know, that really helped me when I lived in LA. That's how I got on all the big podcasts, was telling the crazy gambling and Vegas stories. So it
so great.
Yeah, it was a wild time, man. That, like,
I'm so bad at sports gambling. Like, I'll go on runs, but here's the deal. Like, I kind of had to learn out of necessity working for Pat McAfee because we created a gambling podcast, and I was on it, and I like the fuck out of gambling on sports. Like, I like the research and looking at the trends and stats and trying to you know, predict based on that. And even like Major League Baseball. Like, I played a shit ton of baseball up until I was like 38 years old, but I don't follow it anymore. I don't follow players and rosters anymore. So I literally would just look up, you know, who was pitching, and then, you know, how that team does against left-handers on the road, you know, and I would base, you know, kind of my decisions on that and think I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
There is a special brain that can exist in that world. A very special brain.
Yeah.
Like, there can't be 0.5% of the population on this planet that can be halfway successful at that, like, as a career.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I learned. I mean, it's almost impossible. And the worst thing, I mean, I think it's awful. Like, it's crazy because I love sports gambling. I don't do it anymore just because I know you can't win. But It's going to be so bad when it becomes legal everywhere, because it's just built for like guys with egos. Like when I started gambling, I watched SportsCenter 4 or 5 times a day. I thought I knew everything about sports, and I did know. I mean, I know where we went to college and everything. But then when my boss finally sat me down, he's like, I'd always be like, how do we bet? How do we win? He's like, here's my advice. You don't know shit. And you should always remember you don't know shit. And these guys run these computer programs, and like he said, you watch SportsCenter all you want, and then and I just think it's like these lawyers are like, people that have a lot of money are going to lose a lot of money just because they're going to make it too convenient, which is scary, because just the male ego. Like I always say, like when there was bookies, it was better because you at least do your bookie, and then at some point you'd be a little embarrassed to be like, God, I'm really chasing, or this guy knows I'm fucking up. But if it's on a phone app, people are gonna,
nobody knows but you.
Yeah, people are going to. It's going to be really bad for. It's going to be really bad. I think nobody talks about it.
I think so too. It gets out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, and I've just seen it personally. Like a couple of my closest friends, they put in that phone app, and it's just like when you had to drive to the casino, or sometimes you could at least. I know because I got myself in trouble a couple of times, and to be like, I'm gonna go chase this bet, and then when I'm driving, I could talk myself out of it. But if I could have just hit a button on the phone, I would have chased it twice as much as I did. So
exactly. But I had a regular bookie. He could be like, "Hey, bro, calm down," you know, because he was also a friend. But
I will say, there's nothing better than winning, man. Like those times of winning money. I mean, I'll never forget those, but also never forget the bad beats. But man, going to pick up money, and then that's part of it. You just think you're smart. You're like, oh, I knew those 3 teams were going to win, and it's just like,
oh yeah, dude. When you after like even on like FanDuel or something, like after a $1,500-$1,600 cash out, I'm always I've got to figure it out, bro. What's this one? I'm gonna, and then I lose it all back immediately.
Well, that's what I always say. The gambling gods, you'll always like win. Like how you had that big first time, but then afterwards you're like, man, I haven't won shit since that trip. I'm like, that's it's just weird. The gambling gods know how to get you, but
I know.
It's fun. Let's see what else I got for you. Where's the worst place you've ever had to sleep?
To sleep? Gosh, I once woke up after a show, and this isn't the real worst place, but in a little kid's race car bed in a house I had never been to before and did not recognize. That was a little scary.
That's road life.
Yeah. And, woke up in a little kid's bed, and then the little kid was standing up in his underwear playing Xbox. Like, I mean, not scantily in underwear, but in his jammy underwear. And he just looked back at me over his shoulder like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm just crashed. Just woke up from a blackout in his bed, his little race car bed. And I'm like, oh, shit. And just made my way out of the house. I'm gonna get out of here. All right, thanks.
Yeah, I learned that early. Don't go to people's houses on the road anymore, because you end up in weird shit. Like when I'm creeping through a kitchen on my hands and knees, like I got to get out of here.
Yeah. Well, my thought was I just ruined my life. Like I'm in a very small town. I've just gotten somebody pregnant that I should not get pregnant, and but it was the guy who threw the show. Like protected me and took me to his house. So I was in his little kid's room, and that was the little kid that was pissed at me. So like as I'm creeping through, like I get out of here without anybody seeing me or getting my information. The guy that threw the gig was on the couch, like snoring. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, I've only had a few of those, but there's nothing worse than being on the road. Like, where the fuck am I at, man? What is
how did I get here? And what's going to come back to bite me in the ass here in the next several hours?
Yeah, I got a brutal story about checking a girl's Facebook for like the next 5 months after I left this shitty ass town. And I'd be like, yes, she's smoking and drinking. This is a good sign. But I was like, oh God, it's still probably. It's probably the scariest moment of my life, which is a perfect lead into the next question for you. What moment in life were you the most scared?
This is a real story, man. When I was toward the end of my career, there was a couple times like the job almost got me. You know what I mean? Because I would I worked undercover for a long time. Thing that can happen to you when you work undercover is you stop getting scared. Like you get to a point where you're like, bro, I got to figure it out. Like nobody's ever on to me. If they start to think they're on to me, I've talked my way out of it a million times. Like you get too ballsy or too brave. Like then fear keeps you safe because it keeps you from agreeing to meet in a location that puts you at a major disadvantage or whatever.
Yeah.
So one time I did this deal. One time I did this deal, and we are in the hood, man, in a legit project, and I'm with this smoking hot girl that's working as an informant for the FBI, and I'm like, this is where you go to buy heroin? Like this literally was in the hood. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, this makes no sense how you're still alive. And so she takes me there to meet her guy. And we go into the stairwell, get halfway up, and a dude comes out of this apartment and starts walking down toward us. And he's wearing just like Jordan shorts, like Air Jordan shorts, real baggy. And he has this giant gun like in the pockets of these shorts, so they're like pulling down from the weight of it, and it's like a stupid looking like Old West type revolver, like a outlaw Josie Wells type of revolver. And I'm like, I just kept thinking, I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, how did you get that gun? So he has it, and then he pulls it out and points it right at it. He's only like 3 feet away from it. It's like 3 feet between the barrel of that gun and my face, and I'm downstairs from him. So he tells me to take my clothes off, and I'm like, this is not good. Like, and I'm at that point, I'm like, man, he probably has no inclination whatsoever to want to shoot me, but he's like 19 and he's holding a gun that looks very old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm afraid he's going to accidentally pull the trigger. Like his fat ass is going to slip on the stairs or something, and then at the same time he's going to pull the trigger and blow my head off. So I'm like, I got to think of what I'm going to do here. And I'm saying gun, like, dude, get the gun out of my face. You don't have to point it, just hold it down. And the thing about undercover work that sucks is the equipment is so shitty. Like the smaller and more covert the transmitter, the less wattage it has. So one that looks like a key fob on your keychain is the best because no one will ever make it for a recorder, but the wattage is very low. So your team has to be very close with the antenna on the receiver. And they were only hearing chunks of what I was saying. So they're not hearing gun. And so no one's coming in to rescue me. And I give the buzzword once, Mickey Mouse, and no one, I'm like, hey, this is some Mickey Mouse bullshit. When they hear Mickey Mouse, they're supposed to come running, but no one's come running. And I'm like, all right, we're on our own here, me and this hot chick in the stairwell in the hood. So I'm like, maybe I can quick step him, boom, grab the gun and pull him forward because he's fat. He'll just fall down, right? So while I'm thinking this, the door to the apartment opens again, and this time a scary-looking dude pops out. And he goes, hurry the fuck up! And then goes back in. And I'm like, that guy looks like Nomar from The Wire. Like, that guy is for real. So I'm like, I got to do something. So finally, as I'm like getting naked and turning around for him, and he's got my hat, and he's filling in it, and I'm like, bro, can you get more guns? And he's like this one? And I'm like, yeah, that's the coolest gun I've ever seen. Like I'm from the cut, like I can sell those. Yeah. Like this, that to me is worth more than what this heroin we're about to buy. I can sell the shit ton of those if you can get them. And he's like, oh, maybe I might be able to hook you up. And I'm like, awesome, dude. Like if I take that gun and show it to my dude, like we're in business. He will order as many of these as you can get. And probably any other gun you can get your hands on. So he's like, all right, $250. And I'm like, that's a ridiculous price for this gun, but I don't give a shit, you know, like it's not my money. So I buy the heroin and he hands me this gun, which has 3 bullets in it. It gets loaded. 3 bullets, not one in the chamber. Like if he would have pulled the trigger, it would have went empty. He would have had to pull it twice to get to a bullet. But so that was the scary. Like I was for sure. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to die here, but this is going to go very bad. Like people are going to get hurt. They're like, how can I keep this girl from getting hurt? That's kind of my job. So, and it just ended great. Like it made a great case. Like the feds had a buy while the guy's armed, which was huge. It helps them get to the guy they were really trying to get to. So it worked out awesome. But I had that one, and then we were got in a shootout when I was on the fugitive tracking team there toward the end of my career. Same day that Chad Daniels was performing at Morty's, so I went straight to the show after the shootouts.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, that's where I want to be right now. I got to decompress. So I went and hung out with Chad Daniels.
Your adrenaline was probably going crazy, right?
It was, and I didn't shoot. Like it, what happened was there was a guy. So we tracked cell phones, right? That's how we find fugitives that nobody could find. So if you had a cell phone for your fugitive, we had the equipment. We had a truck worth $500,000 that was basically a giant cell phone antenna and all these computers and stuff inside. We could track your phone. As long as it's on, we'll find you. So we were doing that on this guy, and the drug unit for the state police there that I had come from, they had this guy was supposed to drop off a bunch of heroin and also had some warrants for him. So they just wanted us to be in the area in case they lost him on surveillance so we could help find him again. So we're just hanging loose, and they lose him. So we're having a tough time finding the phone. And he had made the surveillance, according to that team. Like he saw them, made a bunch of crazy maneuvers, the car did, and then he bails out on foot. So they lose it. So we're like, he's probably turned his phone off, but it would come back on, so we'd get a little closer, and it would go off again. Well, this informant that had turned the drug guys onto him called in an address to his handler, said, go check this apartment because there's a dude there that he probably would go to if he thinks there's trouble. So we go there, and when we get into the apartment complex, no one's radio's working. Like we're in a dead spot. So we can't communicate. Our cell phones even suck for calling each other. But we know the phone is in here somewhere because it keeps coming on. So we go to where the address was given, and you know, it's one of those, you go in a main door and there's like 6 units inside. So I go two main doors down, and I sit in my pickup truck. And I do have a police raid vest on, but that's it. I'm in a pickup truck. Otherwise you wouldn't know who I am. And then I have a bunch of like cars that do look like police cars down farther from me. So I'm just the eyeball, right? If I see him come out, I call it off. Those guys are to drive in, swoop him up. So turns out the informant has the address wrong, and the guy comes out of the door right in front of me, and he sees me like in a police across my vest, and he just stops and he's just locked eyes with me. And I'm trying to call to my friends. They got the radio down on my lap, and I'm keying it up, and it just goes every time I key it up. So finally I just throw it, and I'm like, I'm getting the fuck up. So I get out of the car, and I'm telling him to put his hands up, and he drops this red bag next to him, and then he reaches back into his waistband, and I see like a flash of metal, and my brain's just really not working. I'm just like, all right, flash of metal. Boom, he pulls it out. It's a gun. He's pointing at me. I'm like, that's a gun. And I'm so slow. Like, I don't know what's happening to me. I'm just getting older. You know, I'm losing my edge or what, but I'm slow. But I do dart to this car right to my left and get behind it and then pull my weapon. So then I looked at the back windshield, and dude, instead of running off, is coming at me with the gun, and starts to circle around to come after me. And so I start circling around. So we were just going in circles around the car, and he keeps trying to reach over the car and shoot. I can see him squeezing, but the gun is not firing. So I knelt down low, and finally he's kind of stopped circling. I'm on the passenger side door. He's at the driver's side door trying to reach over, keeps squeezing, no firing. And the weirdest shit goes through your brain, because I'm like, bro, like, is he trying to kill me? Like, is the gun jammed? Do I need to wait to be fired upon before I fire back? You know? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This never happened. So finally, I'm like, dude, get in the fight. So I kind of yell at myself, and I spring up, and I right before I came up, I'm like, just fire, empty this clip through this passenger door window, through the driver's door window, and just take this motherfucker out. So I do that, and I come up, and the guy's gone. And then I see out of the corner of my eye, he's running between two buildings. So I chase him, and then I stop for a second because I have a clear shot of him now. And I'm like, all right, shoot. Take him out before he hurts another cop. And then my brain's like, no, CNN, he's black, you're white, don't shoot. Like, that's all the way, regardless of what happened before this, you're going to be all over the news as the guy who shot this kid in the back.
Yeah.
Right, you know, turns out he's 35. He looked like 17. So that's giving me pause too.
Yeah.
And I don't fire. I just chase after him, round the corner like a fucking idiot, not tactically at all, just full sprint. And he is waiting on me, but about 50 meters in front of me. Like, he has the gun pointed, he has a bead on me, and I'm like, fuck. So I jump back behind the building, and then when I pop back over, he is running again. And again, I'm like, I should shoot, because one of my friends is going to run into him and get shot. The gun's going to work this time, is what I kept thinking. And so I'm yelling gun as loud as I can, hoping people can hear me. His radios aren't working. And I don't fire this time because I'm like, I am tired. I am very far away. There's nothing but apartments behind him. Straight around into some kid's bedroom window is going to happen. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. So just don't fire. Just keep chasing. Finally, dudes catch up to me. Two guys that have rifles. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Now I feel better. You guys stay with me. Let's keep going after him. We run round this next corner, round the corner between the other building. Now we're in the big open, like, courtyard parking lot. And he's running, and I see my buddy come up in his gold Charger. He's on my team, and he just comes to a screeching halt. The guy runs right up to his driver's window and tries to fire into the driver's window, but the gun's not going off again. And my buddy's, like, laid down in the seat. And he comes back up. He didn't have any time to draw his gun yet. So he pops out. We're running right by him now. He joins us, and he's like, he's got a gun. We're like, we know. Just keep chasing. So I'm like, you go with me. We'll go around this side of the next building. You guys take this side. He's going to have to turn left. We'll catch him in the middle. There's no way he can make this privacy fence that's in the back. He's too tired. So we do that, and we meet. We round the corner. There's no bad guy. We just see each other. And I'm like, fuck, he made the fence. So let's go over the fence. So we do that. We get right by the fence, and then we hear boom, 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 like 5 shots. The loudest sound I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, he's shooting to the fence. You know, get out. Everybody get out. So I get behind this big metal electrical box thing, and everybody else is down on the ground, and the shooting stops, and then I hear somebody, like, screaming, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So one of my guys on my team just got there from another direction. He jumps up on the electrical box, peeks over the fence, and starts screaming that we have a man down. So I'm like, what the fuck? You know, how do we have a man down? And me and another buddy pull this privacy fence down because we're just, like, full of adrenaline. So we just pull a whole panel of it down. They don't make them very good in the hood anyway, so they're easy to pull down. But we see through the backyard now, and the bad guy is on his back, and he is just kind of moving. It's weird, like he's just kind of moving like an animatron at Disney World or something, like real mechanical with his legs and arms. He's making like weird groaning sounds. And then there's a guy I'd never seen before, just in a flannel and a T-shirt, and he's got a leg holster. He's one of our guys, and he's got blood all over him, and he's got his left hand raised in the air. And so he's on his knees and with one hand kind of bear crawling. And we run up to him, me and another guy, pull him to the side, start cutting his clothes open to see. So we've been thinking he's shot, and the bad guy is dying next to us. This guy, our guy, was not shot at all. See no wounds. And when I look up, his left trigger finger is just kind of hanging there. It's not much attached still, and that's where all the blood's coming from. So we wrap that to his chest so it can't flop around. I'm like, I don't want his finger to fall off, let me put it back on. So we wrap that to his chest, call for an ambulance, and then walk over this guy, watch him die. Basically, there's nothing we could do. He had been shot like 5 times, starting like his belly button up to his neck. And I guess what happened was when this guy, this other state police guy who was off duty, joined the fight. He heard some stuff on radio traffic, came in and saw the guy make the fence, went over the fence after him. And when he did so, the guy was beaten down on him with the gun drawn, and he kind of like landed on him, had his gun out, and while he held the bad guy's gun, like kind of pushed it into his chest, he just started firing from the belt up, and while shooting the bad guy, shot his own finger.
Oh, shit.
It went through his finger into the bad guy. So, yeah, it was just a nightmare. And that was my worst nightmare was, if I don't shoot this guy, someone's going to run into the wrong side of that gun and not know it's there and get hurt. So I was real fucked up for a while afterward, even though, our guy was fine. They were able to get his finger back on. He's still a trooper today, and no problem. But it was so real. The guy's gun it test fired fine when they got it to the lab. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows why his gun wasn't firing, other than it has a weird like safety built in behind the handle that you have to depress with your palm, or your thumb meets your trigger finger before the trigger will pull. And he was kind of had the gangster pose sideways, and he would point it. So I think he just was holding it wrong where it wouldn't fire. But he also had a .44 caliber revolver in his back pocket that was full of ammo. But for some reason, he never dropped the gun that wouldn't fire and pulled that one out. So it was just like luck or fate or God or whatever you believe in, was just looking out for everybody. But I just was really fucked up over it, because I was like, man, for a minute I thought this trooper had been shot to pieces. And it would have been only because this guy was running free when I had a beat. I could have put this guy down, and I didn't. Thankfully, that's not something I end up having to live with, because it didn't happen. But it was just the weirdness of it and the helplessness of it is what fucked me up, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So not to be too serious on your comedy podcast.
No. That's what I want to hear. There's plenty of comedy podcasts. I like to hear the real stories, and that's crazy. Yeah. That's got to be there.
Believe it or not, one of the major reasons why I decided stand-up was a better profession than that job. After that, it's like, I'm trying to get on Comedy Central. Can't be shot dead in the hood in the parking lot.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice. I mean, I can't imagine. That's so, you never have to be worried about being scared to do stand-up after the shit you've been through.
There are times where I just see people weird out about dumb stuff, because when shit like that happens to you, and you've been through some serious shit in your life too. I mean, it's like when you've gone through something that's real, you're like, dude, are you really going to fucking throw a hissy fit over this bullshit right now?
Yeah.
Like, did that person really hurt you? Like, come on. What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm with
blow
you.
it off. Yeah.
Wait, to me, and then kind of some of the crazy shit I've been through, I don't realize it. Like, I got robbed a shotgun in my house, but people were like, were you scared? And I was like, I wasn't really scared at the moment, but then after it was over, then I was like, I don't know. It's just such a weird, those situations like that are so fucking
No,
so
you nailed it, dude. Why you went through is what everybody goes through. Like you almost, your body and your mind, mostly your mind, protects you when you're in the moment, right?
Yeah.
It does weird shit chemically and all this other stuff to keep you super focused. That's why you remember dumb little things. Like you probably during that robbery, you're like, I realized the dishwasher was running.
Yeah.
You know, that happens all the time because you hear weird shit like that because your senses become more in tune and to protect you. And it falls back. We're not as good at using it as we used to be. You know, when we were cavemen, that shit was really effective. You know, we just don't really know what to do with it now. So we just experience this weird thing. And then afterward, though, is where it catches up to you and you're like, fucking could have died back then.
Yeah.
I could have been all over. I'm 32 years old or whatever you were.
Exactly. Well, it's so weird. It feels like everything slowed so far down. And then I was like, this is the weirdest shit, man.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And you go through a real funk, I think. I don't know if you did, but a lot of people do, like almost like a depression afterward. I don't know if it's left over from all the chemical shit that was going on in our brains at the time, or if it's just this, real, like this. I didn't realize the world was this real and this finite, Yeah. And that's what causes it. But you go through a real weird period there.
No, for sure. Well, because I dealt
post-traumatic stress.
Exactly, but I dealt with that. So I was on the patio at the Comedy Store when the guy got murdered, like maybe 10 feet from me, and I thought he was gonna kill us. Like there's a moment where I was like, I just was like, he's gonna shoot us. But then afterwards, everyone was like, the day after, they're like PTSD. I was like, no, that's for like real like war heroes and stuff. But then like a day or two after, I would just be laying in bed and I was like, or I'd hear, pops and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, I think it did affect me. I think I wanted to pretend like it didn't affect me or try to tell myself it didn't affect me, but just seeing someone get murdered. Real. Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. And
it happens to any, the word trauma is built in there. It's about trauma. It doesn't matter if it's combat in the military or police work or getting robbed or getting assaulted or, you were there present at the Boston bombing or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. Like it's real. And then your brain goes through so much weird shit afterward. It's like hard to figure out. I'm glad they're like working on it, obviously now. Yeah. But like I can tell you right now, like I've battled with this. Like I think I should go see someone over because after 21 years of you have all these adrenaline dumps and these highs all the time, and then when that's gone, you have these lows, and your body's not supposed to go through cycles like that. It just kind of changes things in you. And then PTSD and all this stuff. And it's not like I have it doesn't affect my day to day. But like sometimes there's been a handful of instances in my life where I've gotten really drunk and been on Adderall or something where I became a maniac. And I attribute it to inner demons. Like Pat McAfee told me that once. He's like, dude, you got demons in you. You got to be careful with that stuff because you basically are unleashing the demons. You don't know what they're going to do. And I'm sure you've done that as well. Like afterward, you ask, why did I fucking try to fight everybody in that place? Like, you just have this shit built up, man, and it needs to get out. So you just got to find healthier ways to get it out,
Yeah, that alcohol will bring it out on occasion or two.
It will. If you want to know how fucked up you are, like emotionally or psychologically, just drink a bunch of whiskey. Like you'll find out, and let someone record you. Yeah.
Well, everybody always talks about the bad days as a cop. Like, is there one good day as a cop that you remember? Like, this is why I love being a cop, or a real fun cop day?
So many good days, bro. So many. Like being undercover is just hilarious. Like just hilarious story. Like it's all the in between shit that happens. Like one time we were fucking following some big time. We were working for the DEA. Basically, we were doing surveillance on a DEA target, like a big deal target, and he was moving a bunch of money. So, like, it was supposed to be $1 million that he's moving. So our only job is to do surveillance, go unnoticed, get plate numbers, see where he goes, and because that's going to be a stash house. So they need to identify that. So we're watching him, and beforehand, we had this big meeting, where they were like, listen, this guy's all about counter surveillance. He may have guys out looking for a tail, so you have to be very careful. Make sure there is no police shit physical in your car. Sanitize it, because if you have to stop and pee and somebody's following you, they're going to look for radios and little badges and cup holders and shit.
Yeah.
So we had to go through all this and buddy check each person's car, make sure it's clean or whatever. And then my one buddy is late. He came from 2.5 hours north to join the show. So he had a girl in Indianapolis that he stayed with whenever he would come in town. And she was a cop, actually. She was an Indianapolis cop. He had spent the night with her, got up late. He's like, I'm on my way. I'm going to miss the briefing, but I'm on my way. We're like, okay. So he joins the surveillance about a half hour after into it, blends in. And then my sergeant has to call a screeching halt to the whole thing. And he's like, hey, abort. Everybody meet at the Walmart parking lot, or wherever it was. So we go to this parking lot. We stage, and I'm like, oh, shit, something went down. Somebody get burnt or what? So we get there, and he goes, did we not have a big meeting about making sure we were extra inconspicuous today for this job? Like, this is a big fucking deal. And we're like, yeah, what are you talking about? And he goes, walk over here. So we go to, he goes, look at Jeff Price's fucking car. He had just got this brand new white Tacoma pickup truck that the department gave him. And on the passenger side, it is spray painted all the way down. I love man meat. It has a giant cock and balls at the end of it. This girl's ex-boyfriend that had been giving her a hard time about him going over there spray painted the fuck out of his truck like a billboard. I love man meat, dick, and balls. And I read it out loud, like Jeff's got his head hanging. And I read it out loud, and we're all laughing. And he goes, God damn it. And we're like, what? He goes, I thought that was an exclamation point.
That's awesome.
That shit has happened all. Like, if I ever make a cop movie, it's going to be like that. Like, there's so much just funny shit that happens in between the police work. You know?
I'm sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make that
movie. Yeah. And then our proudest there, I think we actually saved the girl from a kidnapping live. Like, she was duct taped in a hotel bathroom, going to be killed after the ransom was, taken care of. And we interrupted the whole thing by and ended up, me and another guy made a vehicle stop on a car that didn't look right and was leaving the area of that gas station where the last call was made. And turned up to look like it was probably them, and there was a hotel key in their console. So we sent a tactical unit to the hotel. They kicked it in. Boom. There was a guy holding her hostage with a gun, her in the bathroom, duct tape over her mouth and hands down to her underwear, sitting on the toilet. It was the real deal.
Holy shit.
But all those, those always start out as some kind of, and this one kind of began that way because there was a bit of a story about this rich girl, the rich dad, and she had a real drug problem. So these usually start out as she's in cooperation with the would-be kidnappers and just needs money from dad,
Mm-hmm.
So everybody went into it kind of thinking that, and then come to find out, you still got to treat it as if it's real. And luckily we did. Come to find out, shit, this is a real fucking kidnapping. And after they were to get the $250,000, they were going to kill her because she does know them.
Damn.
Because they do, deal drugs to her.
That's crazy. I'm sure you still have your instincts of if you saw a car go out of the gas station, you'd be like, do you still have it, or have you tried to shut that off?
I think it still works, man, because there's been times where it's almost to a detriment because it'll be late at night and I'll pull up at a gas station. Like, say I'm coming back from a gig or something, and it's 3 a.m. and it's just me at this gas station. We're out in the middle of nowhere. And then the wrong kind of car pulls up, and I'm like, those guys don't look right, you know?
Yeah.
I usually have a gun around. I don't ever wear a gun, ever. I didn't even really when I was a cop very much, unless it was like a guns on job that day. So I pulled out my gun a few times like that and just put it under my leg and just sat there purposely at the pump until the guys like left the gas station.
Yeah.
Thinking, you know, there's going to be a robbery happen and I should do something. You know, I have my cell phone ready to call 911. I haven't been right in that instance yet, but maybe I was, and they were like, there's somebody watching us. We got to leave, go hit a different gas station. Who knows? But it happens all the time, man.
Yeah.
All the time. Or I'll see a car or just a person and I'm like, that guy is a high-level drug dealer, you know?
Yeah.
Like that knows his business drug dealer.
Yeah.
And I like to think I'm right when I see it, but who knows, you know?
Yeah, who knows?
You can't stop the spidey senses at all.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I assume you just can't shut that shit off. Let me give you a fun question or two here. What's your go-to fast food order?
Oh, Taco Bell, man. It's always the crunch wrap. I just nothing beats that crunch wrap. I'm all about consistency. It's always the same and it's always awesome.
Yeah.
Like I've never been given a bad crunch wrap. It's foolproof.
I'm with you, man. I love Taco Bell. I think that's what made me bond with my girlfriend. She loves that shit.
It's the best.
She'll spend like $20. She just gets like the big burrito box and then just freezes and then just like freezes it at home, and that's what she eats for the week. She loves it.
I've done that move where I buy like 4 crunch wraps and like a dozen soft tacos. The ones I know, those little burritos with the kind of the Frito chips in them. I forget what they're called. I'll just buy like a dozen of those and I'll keep them in the fridge and eat on them all week. Yeah. I'll nuke it. I don't give a fuck. And I'll just eat it all week.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm with you.
I'll do that on the road. Like if you're lucky enough to get a hotel with a little fridge and a microwave.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll store up Taco Bell in there for the whole weekend.
Yeah. I hate end up having to eat like gas station food. I'm like, God damn it, Brant. Plan ahead a little bit.
What are you doing to yourself right now? Eating this egg salad sandwich from Speedway.
That's it. That's my go-to. Egg salad. And maybe
I do it too.
2-day-old sushi or sometimes. Sometimes people are like, you fucking order. I was like, just leave me alone. What's the best concert and sporting event you've ever been to?
I'm not a big music concert guy. I've only been to a handful in my life, but I gotta say, when I was in San Antonio, I was a young Marine. We went to see Dio, and I fucking loved it. It was one of their last gigs. It was one of the last performances, I think, for him. But yeah, because I think he died that summer.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. This was in 1990, I think. Yeah, I think it was he died that summer. And it was just really, really cool because we had a banner for him and shit, and he had us throw it up on stage, and they were running around with it or whatever. So it was probably out of the 10 concerts maybe I've been to in my life. I really enjoyed that one just because it was kind of a milestone. He had passed away. God, now that I think about it, probably within 3 or 4 weeks after that concert.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's weird. So, yeah. So I remember them announcing it at muster. Like we were out there in the morning at formation and they announced it. They had passed away. I was like, fuck, are you kidding me? Damn. So I want to go. I want to be a concert guy though.
Yeah.
I want to be a music. I did go see Metallica this year, and it was way better than I could have ever imagined. Like, they have not lost much at all.
Yeah, they're great.
I would assume. And what's his name that opens up for him?
Yeah.
Tim Brewer opened up for him,
which is awesome.
Great. Yeah, it was just amazing. Big circle stage and just walking around, fucking with people and getting them amped up for 20 minutes. It's great.
So cool.
Yeah. Well, what's your kind of music?
I like all of it, man. As generic as the answer as that is, I really like live music. So I listen to everything from Metallica to rap to I like country a lot, which was good moving back here to Denver because there was no country in LA. But I have a respect for it because I suck so bad at like singing or dancing, or like I just have no rhythm. So I've always wanted to be a rock star, but
yeah, I love country music, and my favorite concerts, like I'll go to a lot of little concerts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially like Clayton Anderson, the guy that's a friend of mine. I love his fucking music.
Yeah.
I don't know how he hasn't blown up, but when if he comes to Indianapolis, which he does a few times a year, and throws a 300 person concert at a beer garden or something, I am fucking there.
Yeah,
like I enjoy the fuck out of those kind of concerts. I like the intimate setting. I get weirded out at huge concerts with hordes of people. Like in giant arenas or whatever, just kind of, I don't know, something about kind of weirds me out.
Yeah. Well, is there one song that always makes you happy when you hear it?
Boy. Yeah, for sure. I like anything Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Makes me happy, mostly because I love my dad listened to Bob Seger. He's still alive, but my dad is still alive. So he always listened to Bob Seger when we were in the car. Fucking 8-track. To the point where I was very sick of Bob Seger, as a kid. But it always takes me back, of us like him taking me somewhere or something. So when I hear, Fire Lake or anything like that, I just immediately, that's where my mind's eye travels back to. Yeah. So when a Bob Seger song starts, first thing I remember is being a kid, boom, getting mint chip ice cream with my dad at Compton's Cow Palace. If I can go, him taking me to go see a movie that he shouldn't be taking me to see, I can't tell my mom, Like,
that's awesome.
That kind of shit, yeah. So he always brings that out of me.
Yeah, I love Seeger, yeah. Like, Against the Wind's one of my favorite songs, and it it just reminds me of that comedy life on the road and chasing these dreams. And he's one of the only people I haven't seen live, and he came to Denver last year, and of course I was on the road the one time he came, but I know I'm running out of chances, but man, I'd love to see him once because he's awesome.
Well, I just love anyone that's a real storyteller, with their lyrics. Like, if you're up there, if you're telling me a story, I really don't, if it's a good story, I really don't care what genre you're throwing it to me at,
Yeah, I'm with you, man. What about sporting event? You have a sporting event that's your favorite?
Yeah, man, by far. Sentimental, but my buddy Pat McAfee that I worked with until recently, they were playing Pittsburgh, and it was a home game, and getting their asses handed to them. Like, fucking the Steelers were handing us our asses. And Pat had a fake and threw for a first down, and I forget which tight end caught the ball, but almost like came a fucking hair from breaking a tackle and scoring a touchdown. Like, I was going to lose my ever-loving mind if Pat throws a touchdown against the Steelers, his hometown team. We were just going nuts, and he got like pulled down by his shoelace. This guy, and that close to scoring a touchdown off a very well thrown ball.
That's awesome.
Pat. Like, yeah, and and it's your buddy, and you're like, oh my god. Of course, he has this awesome seat, so we're down low. We're like, oh fuck, And my kid was with me, so he was going crazy. It was just fucking awesome, man. Because like as a specialist, and he's probably the best punter that has ever done it, so he can be very proud of that.
Yeah.
But like that's an extra cool moment for him. You know,
Yeah.
if he would have gotten a fucking touchdown under his,
would have been
a good running place, but.
That's
Just
awesome.
something he could keep forever. That's a trophy that's unlike any. And it was a big deal, man. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Over anything I went to as a kid or anything else, this one was way more personal. So that was probably the coolest live sports moment I've ever experienced.
Yeah, there's nothing cooler than seeing your friends do cool shit, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's at least for us, man. I think girls hate it when each other do good, but
they do. It's so different.
That's another story, but it'll probably get me in trouble. But I actually root for my friends a lot, and I love to see them do good.
Yeah, she almost threw a touchdown, but she's gained 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks. It's going to be something like that.
Well, did you ever get to meet Peyton?
No, never. I would love to. The sheriff, Jesus.
He's my guy out here. I was close one time, but man, he's the one I can't get to. But
yeah, I kept waiting because Pat and he were actually friends.
Yeah,
they went places together and stuff and played golf. So I always thought we would meet him, but I think Peyton's just kind of a unique animal. He's almost bigger than life, so he's just kind of out there. And he just doesn't show up places much.
No, the time I was close, it was like he was the president. We were at a Dierks Bentley concert, and we had all access, go wherever you want. But then when Peyton got there, things got weird, and they moved us, and they were like, "Hey, can you move to the other side of the stage? It's really packed over here." And I was like, and it wasn't packed at all. And I was like, "Okay, here he comes." And I was like, "God damn it, I'm so close." And then as they're exiting me off that side of the stage, I look over my shoulder, and there he was, and I was like, "God, I was 5 feet away." But then he moved like the president. They had him in and out of there. I was close, but maybe one of these days.
Dude, he's just bigger than I would love. That's why if I have a bucket list, he's on it. That's why I would love to have a 2-minute conversation with that dude.
Yeah, I would just love to tell him thanks, man. He gave me a lot of good Sundays here. Just
that story, where he kicked Austin Collie out of the game himself.
Yeah.
Just points to him, tells him, get out of here, and then. During the game, and the coach is like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, Peyton told me to sideline it. And he's like, get back out there. And he starts running back out. And then Peyton points at him and then points back at the bench. And he has to leave. They have to substitute for him. Who gets to do that?
No.
Who has that presence?
Well, Pat tells that roulette story about him that's fucking crazy, which I'm sure, and of course you've heard, but I was just like, he's the king.
True. That's the best thing about all those stories. Just they're true. Yeah,
that's awesome. All right, I'll give you a few more. I'm sure you're getting hungry and need to stop on the road. How about what's the greatest physical pain you've ever felt?
I broke my nose really badly. Teaching. I used to teach defensive tactics at the police academy, and there's a block of instruction we do where we teach trooper recruits how to fight in their vehicle, because our cars they don't have cages.
Mm-hmm.
There's no back seat cage, so we teach that the safest place to ride a prisoner is in your front passenger seat, so that you can reach. You're not, if they get out of their cuffs for some reason or whatever, they're not grabbing you from behind. So we teach this little maneuver where we have the bad guy go for your gun. He gets, for whatever reason, gets out of his handcuffs, reaches over and grabs for your gun. You trap it, and then you put your forehead into the bridge of their nose,
mm-hmm.
and then you post off from this door with your back foot, and you press their head against the B post of their window, reach back, unlatch the car door, donkey kick it open, and then suck out backward and draw your gun. So they have to do this over and over, right? Well, a little guy, but he was the cop, big guy was playing bad guy, both recruits. Little guy doing great against this big muscle dude. So I'm getting extra into it. And I lean forward to yell instructions to help him get out the door. And I guess he had already, I didn't see, had tried to get out the door once and unlatched it, but the bad guy pulled him back in. So the door was just laying there. It wasn't latched. So he donkey kicked it on his own. Didn't have to reach back and unlatch it. And the A-pillar of that door frame just crushes my nose.
Oh.
Comes back from a donkey kick, and I'm like 2 feet from it when I'm yelling, and just hits me so hard. There was no pain at first. Like, it felt like someone just hit me with a baseball bat. And I'm like, I am so fucked up right now. Like, I don't have any teeth. My whole face is numb. Like, there's probably nothing. Like, I'm a monster to look at right now is what I'm thinking. And I can hear the blood just pouring, like hitting the floor, the gym floor. So I'm just sitting there, and then recruits are looking at me in terror, and I'm like, "Hi, God, I'm so fucked up." I know anything from my training is it's bad when you can't feel pain. This is really bad. And they pull me, the instructors pull me away, and we get to the bathroom, and they're trying to stop the bleeding in my nose. And I look, and it's not bad. I mean, my nose is wide as fuck because it's been smashed. But other than that, got all my teeth, the feeling starting to come back in my face. And I'm like, oh, that's all right. Kind of actually, I look pretty cool right now, actually, you know, like, so yeah. I was kind of wearing a badge of honor here. And then it was real cool until about 15 minutes went by on my way, my drive to the doctor to get looked at. It felt like you literally were pulling barbed wire out of my sinuses, like that kind of pain. Like, I had to pull my car over. I like almost couldn't drive or see. The pain was so intense. Jeez. So, and then I managed to get to the doctor, and they gave me a bunch of shit, and I had to get a bunch of surgery to get my nose fixed. But yeah, it was like, I don't know if you've ever broken your nose like that, but
thank God.
it takes a while to catch up to you. Like, I always think about that with fighters when you watch them. Like, they're like, how does he keep going? His nose is destroyed. He's not going to feel it till he's done, you know? So maybe the fourth round.
That pulling barbed wire out of my nose analogy just gave my whole body like, oh.
That's what it felt like, because it would come like a pulsing pain like every second and a half. Just to remind you, still here.
Oh, yeah. That's awful. That's terrible. Well, that is a bad day, and that leads to my next question. Who do you call on your bad day when you have a bad day?
Sean Latham. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah,
like he's my boy, man. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm pissed at somebody, if I feel like somebody's shitting on me, or I'm just you know, I'm overwhelmed, and I feel like I can't catch up to everything I got to get done or whatever, I just call that dude, man. He's always, he and I are always going to be best of friends, man. Yeah. He just always knows what to say. He knows me inside and out, so he knows, you know, like how to calm me down or how to cheer me up. He's usually my first call, man.
Yeah.
He's pretty fucking special dude to me.
He's great, man. I'm so happy for him and all his success. He's when we were in LA, he was always such a good dude to me. So I say it on here every week about certain people, but there's guys I root for, and I definitely root for Sean. I couldn't be happier for him. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Love that dude.
All right. I'll give you two more. We'll get you out of here. What's the best party you've ever been to?
I threw probably my favorite party of all time. It was my senior year of high school. My parents lived in Texas, and they let me go back to Indiana to finish my senior year, because the high school I would have to go to in Texas was 5A, I think what they called it then. So it was where Matthew McConaughey went to school, Longview High School. And I would have missed him by a grade. Otherwise, I probably would have went there, and we would have been best friends. Yeah. But I did go, because I was like, I worked my entire life to be the starting shortstop at Triton Central High School. I'm not going to get to start out at any position on that team.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are all going to play Division I ball. I'm like going to play junior college ball. So I went back home, thankfully, and I lived with a dude who was like 23 at the time, 24. Real responsible dude, though. Didn't drink any of that shit. His dad had gotten moved for his job, and he basically had the whole house to be in charge of. And it's a big, giant house. And me and another one of my best friends from high school, whose parents were going through a divorce, lived there together. And those two way more responsible than I was. The other dude that lived there that was in my grade was our star quarterback, who later went to Princeton. He was like our didn't drink, just a great athlete, straight nailed dude, no trouble. I was the opposite. Like, I was always fucking up. So they're both out of town and for the week, and I'm like, good time to throw a party. So at school, I'm like, hey, guys, let's get this party together, start spreading the word, because you get the girls over, all this stuff. Next thing I know, like, everybody in the county gets alerted. People from other schools are showing up. It's like that movie, the part of the I can't remember which one, but it just kept growing. So I have end up probably 500 people, and it's out in the country. The house in the yard can hold it, no problem. And it just keeps growing. We had fire going. We had girls boxing each other, like we were spraying them with water hoses, and they were in the mud boxing each other because they had this boxing gear, So they wore headgear and real boxing gloves. They were beating the shit out of each other. It was awesome. I think we went through 5 kegs there that night. I mean, it was just lit. I got in so much trouble. Because my buddy found out about it. One of the neighbors called in, of course. Oh, how I thought that wasn't going to happen. But it was a good night, man.
That's
a great
awesome.
night. A guy came from another party, another school, one of our rival schools, and pulled a knife out at some point, and one of the guys on the wrestling team with me does a spinning back kick and kicks the knife out of this dude's hand like a movie. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and then people pulled that guy out of there and they left, and I was like, Sean, I didn't even know you knew karate. He's like, I don't know karate, bro. It just felt right. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. I'm like, this is the best party ever.
That's awesome.
When you're in the country, just dumb shit like that happens.
Yeah, of course.
All the time. Somebody has to pull a knife and threaten somebody, or it's not a real party.
That's right. It sounds just like Wyoming, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
all right, I got one more question for you, but before that, plug all your stuff where they can find you.
If you go to the easiest place, go to toddcomedy.com, my website, man. I got a podcast page that sends you to each of my podcasts, the true crime one, the documentary one, and the comedy one. And my tour schedule and shit's on there too. So hopefully I'll be somewhere near all of you.
Yeah, so go support the podcast. Go buy a ticket when he's close, and hopefully you'll get out here to Denver soon, and I'll see you.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
I'll leave you with this last question here, and thank you so much for doing it. I hope this made the drive a lot better. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. But
it has. Thanks for people don't ask me to go on podcasts, so I'm fucking appreciative of you, brother.
A lot of your fans ask, like, hey, can you get Todd? Can you get Todd? And then shout out to Tone Gordon. He reached out, and I was like, he's like, you want to have Todd? I was like, yeah, for sure. So,
Tone Gordon's the man.
Trust me, with the stories you got, you'll be getting on a lot more podcasts. You could tell stories forever.
And dude, when you come to Indianapolis, please,
yeah, for sure,
come on FUNTOWN and hang out with us.
I would love to. Right. I will make that happen for sure. So, all right, here we go. Last question. Thanks again for doing it. If you could script your last words before you die, what would they be?
It was worth it.
Trying to expand globally. Long curly hair and a beard, but he ain't Toby Keith. You might have thought it's beef, but we gon' handle that. Stealing jerseys off of the wall like fuck Vanderjack. Okay, he ran with that, and now he's on the loose. Put a little bit of poison in the Jamba Juice. Go ahead and drink on that, just take another sip. Need an appraisal, shout out to Ron Huff and Dick. The kids loving this, I know you heard it, son. The purpose is perfect, every person we learn something from. Go ahead and come along, we have a little fun. A few questions, how about 31?